Trigger warning, watching this video could save your life. This goes out to all the type 2 diabetics out there, or all the people with insulin resistance that are taking the drug metformin. There's probably a bunch of you out there who have never seen me before on TikTok, you've never watched any of my content, and you have no idea who I am. Well, my name is Keith, and let me tell you my story. Back in 2018, I was diagnosed at one doctor's visit with type 2 diabetes, hypertension, fatty liver, and high cholesterol, and I had no idea what was actually happening with me. You see, the blame by my doctor was actually placed on me. Plus, he also knew that I had a background in medicine, being a combat medic and then being a paramedic in the fire department and then becoming an ER nurse. So he knew I knew all the signs and symptoms of type 2 diabetes, yet I was always caring for others, so I didn't really care so much about myself. But I have to tell you, my life completely changed that day, because that day I decided, okay, I'm going to do everything the doctor says. Well, fast forward 4.5 years later, maxed out on metformin and all kinds of other medications, and I heard these words: you know what? Your A1C is still bad. I'm going to have to put you on insulin. I thought, what am I going to do? I'm not going to defy the doctor, but then again, I also knew that my problem was caused by insulin resistance, so the cells of my body were already resistant to the max amount of insulin my body could make. So how could giving me more insulin make any sense at all? I decided that was it. What I was going to do is I was going to find a way to improve insulin sensitivity and reduce insulin resistance. Now, that proved really daunting. I looked everywhere for different recipes, for all kinds of potions and pills and powders and all kinds of stuff. And you know what? I didn't have any sustained results until I found a natural system and an age-old practice. Putting those two together changed my life. The practice is intermittent fasting, or time-based eating, however you want to look at it. Basically just skipping one meal a day. Well, I started that first, and about 6 weeks in, I wasn't the same person. I was hangry all the time, and I really was looking for help. I actually came right here on TikTok, saw someone advertise 2 products that made up a system coupled with the intermittent fasting that was guaranteed to work or my money back in 90 days. I started it, and my A1C at the 10-month mark of being on that system went from 11.8 all the way down to 5.4. I lost 70 pounds in that time without any kind of exercise. My blood pressure returned to normal. My triglycerides were completely normal. Did you catch what I said? I said I was diabetic. No longer now. And you know what? It saved my life. I give all kinds of coaching. I give out all of my information so that you have constant contact with me. I will absolutely walk you through the process every single day if I have to, because at the end of the day, it's my belief no one should have to die from complications of diabetes, and no one need to have to treat type 2 diabetes for a lifetime. See you, peeps. I had that same thing going on. Like, I used to wake up to 300 all the time. Now I wake up to this.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode 2. This is Isaac Wilson, along with my co-host, Andrew Roark. How's everything going, Roark?
What's up, guys? So good to be here. I'm kind of getting a little giddy for this guest, Isaac. So
Yeah,
I'm really excited. This one hits close to home for me.
This one is a really good one. I'm looking forward to speaking with Keith tonight, because I think he can really help a lot of us, especially those of us dealing with A1C problems or diabetes. So we will get into the show tonight, and this is episode 2 of Spilling the Tea. I thought I'd break this news to you now, Roark, instead of later, but we do have to welcome a new co-host on board.
Come on.
I got to welcome a new co-host, Noah Kate, to the show. She might make an appearance soon. I don't know. I told her she's going to have to start working on her content a little bit. But she showed up this Wednesday, actually, is when she showed up. And, man, it was it was an experience. I know Coach Bruner, like I said on the last show, said I was not a parent or considered a parent till I had two. So I'm a parent now. I'm a parent.
That's awesome. Hey, listen, I'm so happy for you and for Amy, and she's a warrior. To go through that and handle it the way she has. That's amazing.
She's a lot stronger than me. I'll tell you. There's a reason why God gave them the duty, the women, for the birth, because I couldn't have done it. But
they're tougher than us, brother.
Way tougher. Want to get in a little bit about this map. I saw it and I was like, man, this is awesome. Our last guest, Marcus, he lives in New Mexico, and I would like to see our little logo, man, just start spreading all across the United States here. We're fortunate enough. Our guest tonight will be, he resides in Ohio, which is pretty close to me. It touches our state. It's close to you as well, Roark.
Yeah.
We may be able to actually make the drive and meet our guests in person. So, again, we're looking to fill this thing up. And I don't know where the next one will come from, but, man, I'm excited for it. What about you?
Oh, I'm so excited. Listen, this is becoming one of I look forward so much to doing these and to being here with you. And, I like spending time with you. You know that, and I've been missing you. So this is a good way for us to do that.
Absolutely. As we get into this, I'm going to try to make sure that our comments is a public because I believe I got a click and account thing here, which I will find. But we are talking about a product tonight that's got all kinds of studies. They can be found at www.unicityscience.org. You can actually take a screenshot of this page at the moment. You can go directly to it. It's got all kinds of full studies. You can click on the full study and see it. And it's been done by University of Sydney and many others. And so feel free at any time to use this link. And without further ado, we find ourselves tonight going to be introducing and bringing on to the show Keith Rowe. He has an unbelievable story here. His story is that his A1C in 10 months went from an 11.8 to a 5.4. Keith, when trying to get him on the show, he actually made that exact statement to me in a text that in 10 months I went from type 2 on meds to diabetic remission on no meds. So what's your thoughts on that, Roark, before we bring him on?
Hey, listen, we enjoy this, but if we can share this with other people and change people's health, and we can change, the quality of their life with this, with what we're doing, Isaac, I mean, that's what we're here to do.
That's why we're here, baby. So without further ado, and yes, Keith gave me permission to share those photos because that is him. We are going to bring Keith Rowe onto the stage. So Keith, what is
Thank you guys,
brother,
for having me.
Yeah,
it is nice to have you on. How is the weather up north?
Well, today wasn't so bad. It's like mid 60s, little chill in the air, but mostly sunshine today. So I'm happy with that. Awesome. Here in Ohio, it's like 4 different seasons every single day sometimes.
Yeah, well, Kentucky is, kind of the same weather. I guess the Ohio-Kentucky thing is very similar with that. But Keith, just like we do with every show, we just want to give you an opportunity to tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Who are you? What do you do, or what did you used to do? And man, why do you do it?
So, who am I? Well, I'm just like so many other people. I'm a dad and a grandpa, and now going to be a grandpa real soon, 2 times over. So I don't know if that makes me officially a grandpa because I'll have two grandkids, because only one, maybe you're not a grandpa completely yet. I don't know. Somebody told me something about I got to have 2, so I'm officially going to have 2 here this coming July. I was someone that, I've always had a career of helping other people. So I started out from high school. I was like, what am I going to do? I went through a bunch of different jobs, and I had a real authority problem. I was kind of a rolling rock, if you will. And so what do rolling rocks do? Well, they join the military. And a lot of that spunk kind of gets kicked out of you, because you know what? The military really forces you to see one way, and that's everybody is in the same boat, and you will never get anywhere by yourself. You have to become part of the team. And then you have to do things to support each other on the team. And so that basis really took me from, okay, I learned the people skills that I needed. Then I learned a lot about how to be a combat medic and a lot about emergency medicine. So I went from there. Unfortunately, our military standing way back then in the early 90s, tests and training that you took in the military did not translate out to regular world. So you found yourself getting all this really good training. Like I was trained to do a pericardial synthesis. That's basically where I put a giant needle about this far in between the fourth and fifth rib into the heart sac. And I pull blood out of the heart sac because you had a major trauma to your chest. Well, if I attempted to do that on the squad, holy cow, they'd be looking at me going, we're taking your license. We're bringing you up on charges, like all kinds of crazy stuff. So I learned very quickly that I needed to go back to school. And so I went back to school, got on my fire department, rose up the ranks in the fire department. And, quickly was like, it was always an excellent experience of mine to do the patient care stuff, to be on the squad. Putting the water on the hot stuff. Yeah, I wasn't really that great at that. Having this kind of stuff go on, your mask doesn't seal quite properly. I got left in a building once alone. That was kind of scary. So
I bet
there were higher powers telling me, hey man, go help the people in the back of the squad. Don't go in that fire stuff no more. And so so I continued on my education, went from EMT basic to paramedic, which is the highest level that you can get to in emergency medicine as far as the fire department was concerned. Rose up the ranks in the fire department pretty quickly because of my ability to help other people make things very clear and concise plans. And that was looked upon very highly by the fire chief at the time. And he said, well, we've never done this before, but I don't really want to have to deal with EMS. Let's make it the EMS chief. So he made me the EMS chief, which was really awesome. And then I had to go and complicate my life a little bit because I was like, I really don't know what happens to these people afterwards. I come to your house. Everyone's panicking. Even you're panicking because you're going through the worst thing ever. I get you sustained and alive and I drop you off of the ER, but then I don't get the follow-up. I don't, what happened to that patient? Did he live? Did he live a normal life after the things that I did to stabilize him? And so that was the same in my military career as well. I was in an emergency situation. Let's stabilize things and drop them off at the MASH unit and then cross your fingers and hope we get some kind of feedback back. And so, so I was like, okay, let me get real serious here about emergency medicine and let me go for RN. So I went to night school, did all the free training and everything that you have to do when you're going through clinicals and whatnot in order to get that. Became an RN very quickly in the ER. They saw the same thing that was seen in the military and seen in the fire department. And they were like, hey, we have this nighttime clinical coordinator charge nurse position open. Maybe you should apply for it. And I was like, all right. So next thing you know, I applied for it, and I was the only one I think that applied for it, but they were really nice. We selected you. I was like, oh, right on. And next thing you know, I was doing that for quite some time. And during all of that, I wasn't paying any attention to myself. I was providing for the family. I was working because here's the thing. If you start making money like you've never made before, because military wasn't making very much money. And then up to the next level at the fire department was making decent money, but nothing that you could, retire on or go home on. And then finally in the ER, it was like, hey, we want to pay you $100 an hour for all the extra hours that you want to work. And I had already been working other places 60, 70 hours a week. So I was already trained to do that. And here's the problem. When you start doing those things, you neglect yourself. You're the last person. I was a machine. I worked 278 days in a row, 12-hour days.
Wow.
And so at the end of it, I started having the three polys, right? Polyuria, polydipsia, polyphagia.
So polyuria is frequent urination. Polydipsia is frequent thirst. Polyphagia is you can eat, never feel full. Now the eating and the drinking, I just thought, well, I'm a bigger guy. I was making excuses for that. I thought I'm a bigger guy. I eat all the time. That's just because I'm big. And I drink all the time because I've got to dilute it. So that was my yin and yang. And I was like, perfect circle, no problem. It wasn't until I was urinating every hour at night and wasn't getting any sleep that I decided, okay, I got to go get some help. So went into the doc, and of course, in that one doctor's visit, was diagnosed type 2 diabetes, fatty liver, high cholesterol, and hypertension. My blood pressure was like 200s over 100s in triage. Yeah, that's exactly what the nurse looked like too. She's like, whoa. She's like, are you okay? Are you stressed out? I'm like, no, I'm fine. What's wrong? She's like, here, let me do it again. So then she put it on the machine, and it just kept falling off my arm. And she's like, yeah, your blood pressure is really high. I was like, okay. So finally got back to see the doc, and the doc, he really laid into me. And this was like my second time ever seeing him, but he was a tall, thin, lanky man who's never had a weight problem in his life, certainly not ever having diabetes. So he kind of looked at me, and he kind of put his glasses down to about here and went, you're not taking care of yourself. Straight as can be. He's like, you're not taking care of yourself. I'm not exactly sure what you're eating, but it's not what you should be eating. Your blood pressure is through the roof. You are on your way to have a heart attack or a stroke. And you have type 2 diabetes now. So I'm going to start putting you on a bunch of medications.
Wow.
And I did what we all do. In that one moment, my heart sank. My mental outlook destroyed. Because when you hear from a medical professional, hey, you have a major problem. And it's this moniker of type 2 diabetes. It's called a disease for a reason. So once they tell you have this disease, most people, this is where your flight and your fright come into play, right? You can either curl up in a ball and really get depressive and just call it a day and just kind of waller in it. Or you get angry and you get motivated and you're like, okay, it's happened to me, but it's not going to happen to me for long. I'm going to figure this out. Well,
yep.
So I did exactly for 4.5 years. I did exactly as I was told by my doc. I tried to do the exercise, but here's the thing. When you're weighing 316 pounds, do you really feel like exercising? No, you don't. No, you don't. Do I still to this day, when I go into a pool, do I still wear a shirt? Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I will probably for the rest of my life. Little things that we don't think about that make a huge difference. So I was like, okay. It's been 4.5 years. I went back to the doc. He checked my A1C again, and he's like, listen, you're maxed out on metformin. I've got you on off script. So anytime the doctor prescribes a medication that is a higher dose than what is per the norm, they call it off script. So he had me off script, 1,000 milligrams 3 times a day. So I was at 3,000 milligrams.
Let me pause you right there, because I've got you're going to continue on. You are way ahead of the game for sure as far as what's coming your way. No,
okay.
Listen, there was zero need for me to ask any of the. I mean, you was just hitting every button. But how did you first learn you had type 2 diabetes? Like, boom, you've drilled that.
Oh yeah.
I first want to say, let me get this off the screen. I first want to say thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service.
I would say, listen, my dad, he served as well.
You're welcome.
So I got to get that off my chest. We want to thank you for that. But
Yes,
you talked about, did you have any other health concerns? You talked about your 3 polys. This question I'm about to ask you here, it comes from actually a type 2 diabetic that I know pretty close to. I asked him hey, what would you want to ask if I was going to bring somebody on? And this is one, what medications was you on before starting the protocol, if you don't mind to share?
Oh, no, absolutely not. So 1,000 milligrams of metformin 3 times a day. Now that started off at 250 milligrams once a day. And so there's a caveat here I want the audience to be very, very aware of. And there's going to be a lot of people that, as I say this, are going to be like, oh, wow, that's pretty easy. And why didn't I see that coming? So if you've ever been put on a medication, let's say metformin at 250 milligrams once per day, and all of a sudden it goes from once a day to 3 times a day, once before each meal. And then it goes from 250 to 500 to 750 to 850 to 1,000. The problem's getting worse.
Yeah.
Your body isn't suffering from a lack of metformin.
No.
No, absolutely not.
No. So I was on metformin. I was on atorvastatin, which is a statin medication for cholesterol, because my cholesterol was 300 and I got it in front of me. 368 was my total cholesterol. My triglycerides were 269, that's crazy high. My LDL cholesterol was 186, and my liver function tests were terrible. They confirmed my fatty liver with an ultrasound, because that's what they do. Your liver function tests come back skewed, so that's total protein, and a bunch of other ones. And once that is skewed, then they send you for an ultrasound. And the ultrasound is what they use as definitive diagnosis that you have a fatty liver disease. Now, I had never heard of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, never heard of that, but that scared me even more than the diabetes. Because I was like, I don't drink. I mean, maybe once a year once a year, like with a toast of champagne or something in the beginning of the year, and that's it. Like, I'm not an alcohol guy. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's just not my thing. So when I heard I had fatty liver, I was like, well, how did that happen? And so 2 medications that the audience, if they are diabetic, were immediately placed on: metformin and atorvastatin or Lipitor. Even if your cholesterol was okay. This is the why. So anytime that you have insulin resistance in the body to the point where you are now type 2 diabetic, that means excess sugar has been flowing through the body and getting to the liver. The liver, once the liver is completely full of glycogen, which is basically stored sugar, and more sugar arrives, the liver goes, hey, stop doing that. Please, time out. Can you, body, please stop sending sugar. We've got enough. Look, we're full. I've got no room. And liver finally realizes, well, the sugar's not going to stop coming. So it winds up taking that excess sugar and turning it into triglycerides. It's a process called de novo lipogenesis. Don't mean to bore you with all that sciencey stuff, but that's kind of my background. So de novo meaning from within, lipo meaning fat, and genesis meaning creation. Your liver creates fat out of that excess sugar. In medicine, the doctors know this. So this is why the 2 frontline medications that are now the standard of practice when a diabetic comes in the office is immediately put them on a statin and immediately put them on metformin. Why? Well, so that we can do something about the blood sugar, and we can stop the liver from uptaking any more. Well, that's great, but that doesn't shut off the excess sugar that's in the system. That doesn't make the insulin resistance better. And as a matter of fact, Lipitor, if you take a look at one of the number 1 problems with Lipitor, like the side effects, number 1 side effect increases insulin resistance.
Hey, Keith, I'm going to give you a shout out. David Garlich, maybe. If I said your last name, I'm sorry. He says you're amazing, an amazing teacher and coach. So congrats on that.
Thank you, David.
Leads me into this next, just talking about the old way. I promise we're about to get into what it was that totally changed your life. What were some of the biggest challenges, which I feel like you have hit on a ton of those, that you felt like you dealt with while you was a type 2 diabetic? And then you already sort of mentioned the tipping point, if you will, in wanting to become healthier when you was on all the medications and the doctor looking at you with his glasses on the bridge of his nose. But what was some biggest challenges, if you haven't already hit all on them, that you're thinking okay, these were some of the biggest things I dealt with type 2 diabetes?
Well, so we all have an ego, right? No matter how selfless we are still people, and we all have egos. So the ego hit to me was the doctor saying, even in that first visit, he never said it again, thank you so much. But the first visit, you already let the horse out of the barn. I mean, he looked at me and said it was my fault. Like he didn't hold back. He didn't say, "Oh, it's kind of." No. He looked at me straight in the face. He's like, "You did this to yourself." And it took me a while. It took me a while to chew on that, because then I was like, "Wait a minute, did I really? Is this really something that I did myself?" Now, when I grew up during the Cola Wars. I grew up. Oh yeah, woohoo! Cola Wars, everyone. I grew up during the Burger Wars. I grew up in an era where, you came home, and if you had younger siblings and you were the oldest, you came home, you unlocked the door, you locked the door behind you, you made whatever meal that you were going to make for all the kids to eat, and maybe when the sun came down, the parents came home. Like this was normal. There was nothing odd about this. I lived in a nice little neighborhood that if I was all the way at the top of the street when I was younger, and the street lights came on, every neighbor would come out and go, "Get home, or we're going to call your mother." And of course, they'd truly be on that phone. And by the time I went home, my mom got 10 phone calls. Mrs. Jones called, Mrs. Smith called, Mrs. Rourke called. All of these people called me. Next time, make sure you're closer to the house when those lights come on, because I'm tired of these people calling me, wondering if you made it home okay. I'm like, all right. So to hear that it was my fault, right? To hear it was my fault.
Yeah.
I did it. It was a huge hit to my ego. And then I was like, okay, I did get into a bit of depression right after the diagnosis. And then I was like, okay, you know what? This is not like me. It's not like me to give up. It's not like me to accept that this was my fault. So I did some research. So I started doing some research, and I found, hey, wait a minute. This wasn't my fault. Yes. Did food become something as I was growing up as a reward? Sure. But I think that was a lot of commercially driven things that were happening. So if I did good grades, right, boom, let's go to McDonald's. Like, who didn't do that when they were a kid?
Yeah.
Right. Oh, look, you got great. Let's go get ice cream. Let's go get. So all of these foods became comfort foods. They became my ability to cope with anything of life stresses. Right. And then we add convenience to it. Like, so when I was working 278 12-hour days in a row, you think I was coming home and getting at the stove and cook? No.
No, you was doing this. Sandy Farrell Wilson says TV dinner.
Yes.
TV dinner.
Like literally going through the drive-through, and how easy is that, right? You speak into a box, you drive around the corner, a window opens, somebody grabs your card, swipes your card, hands it back to you, in the next window, hot food comes out, and away you go. We've made it so easy. And so me trying to figure out, how am I going to be able to get myself out of this jam? And I hadn't, in 4.5 years, I want to be completely honest and upfront and transparent, I hadn't figured anything out yet. Nothing. I knew that I wasn't the number one cause of why this happened. There was a lot of things that happened in my life that led to my relationship with food, but also the food had changed. So like, I mean, now it's all the rave people know that McDonald's used to fry their fries in beef tallow. Well, they don't anymore. They fry them in seed oils. Well, what's wrong with seed oils? We can spend all this show on talking about what seed oils and how inflammatory they are, how bad they are for the body, all the problems. So this was something that I was bound and determined to figure out. And when I went back to the doc to have my A1C done after 4.5 years, and he said 11.8, I got to
Let me stop you right there, because now we're about to answer. You're at 11.8. Okay. So you're at 11.8, and I want to ask you, because I know that in watching some of your videos and things, you talked about, trying some different things, and you knew that fasting had benefits, but why unicity? And had you tried any other health tools before, so get in a little bit of that. Like, what had you tried? I know that you probably had a few things that failed.
So there's the inulin plant, right? So I saw this on Facebook as I'm flipping through Facebook. Here comes this ad, right? Are you diabetic? Do you not want to be anymore? I'm like, yes. I don't want to be anymore. Woohoo! Do you want to do something natural? I'm like, yes. So it was this inulin plant. Matter of fact, I'll never get rid of it. The inulin plant pill. Now, inulin is a natural substance in nature that is supposed to mimic the effects of insulin. Well, guess what my problem was? My problem was too much insulin.
Too much.
Hey, let's add some more natural insulin. No, dummy. Bad. No. The problem was fix the insulin resistance. So if this is the cell of the body, right? If you fix the insulin resistance, you fix the problem. So I simply went back to the doc when he gave me this news. And he's like, listen, I'm going to put you on insulin. And I said, just stop. Hold on. And so he did this again and looked at me. I said, let me tell you what I think I know about diabetes, because I've had it now for 4.5 years. And maybe you'll correct me if I'm wrong. He's like, fine. I said, well, what I know about my diabetes, right, because I'm type 2, is that insulin resistance, right, the cells themselves are resistant to the max amount of insulin my body can make. And when this happens, the insulin is supposed to open the cell, allow sugar to go in to be used as energy, and now that's not happening. Am I right? He goes, 100%. I'm like, awesome, cool. So what you're suggesting is, since I'm at this level of resistance and only this is the amount of representative insulin my body can make, you want me to inject this much insulin, which is going to force the cell to open, force the sugar to be used as fuel, and lower my sugar numbers and lower my A1C numbers, right? And he goes, yes, see, you understand. And I said, well, wait, we're not done. He goes, what do you mean? I said, okay, doc, I'm giving my body this much insulin. My resistance is here. When my resistance rises up to here again,
what happens?
What do I do?
Yeah.
He goes, well, you inject more.
Yeah.
So I said, well, tell you what, doc, can you just give me something that attacks the root cause of the problem? Because you agreed with me that the root cause was the resistance around the cells. So just give me whatever you have that fixes the resistance around the cells. I don't have anything that does that. That's what he told me. And I said, well, I'm not going on insulin. He said, you don't understand. I'm trying to save your life. I said, no, I do understand. I understand that if my sugars stay as high as they do, I understand that I'm going to have a lot of problems. I'm going to have, God forbid, I'll have wounds that don't heal. I'll have skin that's going to degrade. I'm going to have possible stroke, possible heart attack, possible kidney damage, then have to be on dialysis. Like, trust me, I knew this. I knew it firsthand because throughout my entire medical career, I was seeing these patients. I was seeing them the first day that they were diagnosed because their sugar was so high. They have the Cosmo respirations. They're at home freaking out. The whole family is like, we have no idea. She's breathing really hard. And like, she doesn't have a breathing problem. We have no idea what's going on with her.
Yeah.
And then I check the sugar in the squad and it just says high. It's not my meter saying hello to me. It's, hey, we're over 500. Like, holy cow, her sugar's over 500. I'm like, are you diabetic? I'm like, no. I'm like, well, you are now. I can't diagnose you, but like, you are now. And so I was bound and determined when he told me that he didn't have anything. And I said, well, I'm going to go and start researching natural things. And so I researched a bunch of natural things and I found this book. This is Dr. Jason Fung's The Diabetes Code. So I looked at this book, and so you want to talk about a doctor that was truly swimming the opposite way of all the other doctors. Dr. Fung is a nephrologist, so he's a kidney doctor, was getting a lot of referrals from private care physicians, primary care physicians for diabetic patients who now their diabetes had progressed into having kidney problems. So all of these patients were inundating his office, and he basically said back to the primary care physicians, hey, if we fix their diabetes, right, they're not going to have a kidney problem, right?
Yeah.
And so
No.
the primary care physicians were like, yeah, good luck with that. Just stick to kidneys, fix the kidney problem. So Dr. Fung said, well, okay. So he got this idea in his head that the reason that type 2 diabetics are not recovering when given insulin is because the insulin is making the resistance worse, not better, which
Law of
was
diminished
against
returns.
everything that all the doctors have ever been taught. Because in medicine, when it comes to doctoring, right, being a nurse, I've dealt with this a lot. There's what we call a standard of care. And so you come in and you are given these blood tests. The blood tests come back with this, this, and this. And so that immediately tells the doctor, okay, here's the diagnosis. And then we're going to do these things on the list because of that diagnosis. And this is just standard operating procedure.
They have guidelines.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's like a book. It's like if you were a mechanic and a lady came in and she had squeaks going on in the front of her car and her brakes were a little soft, right? Put the car up on the lift, take the wheels off. Oh, hey, a lot of scoring on the inside of the rotors. Oh, we got a shoe that's busted or a pad that's busted. Hey, we found a problem. Well, same exact thing happens in medicine. Well, and so knowing that, and this, sometimes it's a blessing, sometimes it's a curse. When you know some things about medicine, you kind of can predict what's going to be coming your way. So I knew he was going to tell me that my A1C was terrible again, and I knew he was going to look at me and suggest that I go on insulin. I was really not prepared for him to tell me that there is nothing that he can give me. I was not prepared for that. And this was before, to be like I said, 100% honest, this was before the GLP-1 injections and all the other new stuff that's out. So I said, well, let me buy the inulin plant, right? Let me talk to all my cultural people. I've got a lot of people that come from a lot of different worldly backgrounds. So I'm like, what do you do in India for people who have diabetes? What do you do? What do you do in Korea? I have Korean people in my family. So I asked around. I got all kinds of information, of course, bombarded with try this, try this, try this, try black tea, try black cohosh, try ginseng, try cinnamon and chromium, try apple cider vinegar 30 minutes before your meals, try
Heard all those.
there was just try the pinch method. Yeah, come on, guys, come on. So I'm
gonna go out on a limb here.
Yeah.
You ended up finding something in the UK.
Well, I didn't find this in the UK either. No. So this is what happened to me. My wife had TikTok. I did not have TikTok. So as we're in bed and she's watching TikTok, I hear somebody come on talking about the product. And she looked over at me and she goes, no, don't you dare. I said, what do you mean? She goes, you are Mr. 3 o'clock in the morning guy. That's why we have the Ronell Popeil Fisherman. That's why we have a Set It and Forget It. That's why
TV, baby.
We have all of this as seen on TV stuff. Half the stuff is garbage. Like we have to put it in an estate sale, like downstairs, and try to sell the stuff off. So I said, what if it worked? She's like, you really think that something that could actually fix your problem is going to be here? It's going to be on social media? I said, yeah, you're right. Secretly, and you shouldn't do this. Secretly, and you should not do this. So
sounds like Larry.
So if she's watching, okay. So secretly, I downloaded TikTok so I could watch it again. And I watched it for 8 months as I was trying all the other stuff. And I had already skipped 2 appointments with the doc because I didn't want to go back until I had some sort of answer. And I had tried all these things and everything was failing. So in an act of desperation, I bought the system. I bought the Feel Great system and I got it at the house. I hunted down the delivery man to make sure, because we live in rural Ohio. So I saw him coming from quite a ways away.
Couldn't
So
get
I
caught.
hunted him down, caught him at the end of the driveway. We've got a
Yeah.
quarter-mile long driveway. Said, no, don't pull in. Here, just give me the box. Sign. Okay, threw it in the car, hid it from her, didn't want her to see it. And I started using the product. Well, 30 days, right around 30 days, I walked past her. I had a black shirt on, and she was in the lazy boy recliner there in our living room. And I walked past her, and she said, hey, are you losing weight? Now, mind you, to this point, I had lost 31 pounds in that first 30 days. And my blood sugars were in the mornings waking up 300 to 315. By the end of that month, waking up to nothing higher than 199. My daily sugars were 250 to 280, waking up to nothing higher than 150 to 180. And what I didn't tell her, not only did I tell her, I didn't tell her I bought the product. What I didn't tell her was I had a conversation with the doctor and got off metformin completely. So at 30 days.
Did you say 30 days?
30 days
in.
I called my doc and I said, listen, what's happening with me right now is something that the medication has never done. He goes, well, what's happening? Wait, what are you doing? I said, remember I told you about these packets. Oh, that's right. You're the packet guy. I said, well, I told you about these packets and you didn't sound like you were, you wanted them or you thought they were going to do anything. So I didn't buy them for a long time, 8 months. Then you gave me the news that you were going to put me on insulin. And here I was 8 months later trying all these different things. So anyway, Doc, long story short, I actually started doing that stuff, right? And I'm keeping track and my numbers are going down. Like they're going down. He goes, well, okay. As your physician, I have to let you know that sometimes there's a honeymoon period. And I had been very familiar with the honeymoon period. And so for the benefit of the audience, anytime that you start something new that's contradictive to something that you were not doing before, there's a honeymoon period. You can have great results almost immediately. But when the honeymoon is over, well, some of those results go away and everything comes back to the way it was before, which is going to be very important here in just a minute. So he wasn't very positive about this. I was seeing the numbers and I called him up and said, listen, I was somebody that had the GI effect to metformin. I did not like metformin. I don't want to get vulgar, but metformin made it really hard to have a solid bowel movement. And
I've heard that from a friend that drives a bus.
And here's the thing: if you're an ER nurse getting down on one knee to put an IV in, and as you get down on that one knee, you're not sure if that's air that's going to be coming out or not.
Yeah, that's not good.
That's not a good thing. So I wanted off that metformin as soon as possible. So I made him a deal. I said, listen, I'll tell you what. I said, I'm into making deals these days, Doc. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to stop the metformin cold turkey right now. He goes, you nurses are the worst patients. I said, you're right. 100% correct. I said, but I'm going to come off of it. However, if it goes past 250 at any point, that's it. I go right back on to at least 500 milligrams 3 times a day. And if that doesn't do it, then I'll ramp myself back up. What do you think? He's like, okay. So January 19th of 2021 was my last dose of metformin.
That's awesome.
After that day, I've never taken it again, and I never will. And so at the 30-day mark, I did something again. Don't do this, gentlemen, please, because your wife will hurt you bad.
Yeah.
I finally looked at her and I had to come clean. My conscience was eating me up because she asked and I told her, oh no, I didn't lose any weight. I lied and I was like, I can't. So I kept something from her and I lied to her, and that's not, woohoo, great. That's great. No, that's not great.
That was not good.
Woohoo,
hey,
bad.
What's funny, Keith, is I know somebody else that did this. Larry Snyder, I'm sure he's watching. Larry Snyder, exact same story, but go ahead.
So I had to come clean. My conscience was eating me up. And but here's one thing I did before I cleaned my conscience. I called that gentleman back up because I told him, listen, I'm going to start your program And when I prove it wrong, because I don't believe it's going to do anything for me, now I know not only am I going to get my money back, but I'm going to go against you on TikTok. I'm going to lure people away from you. I'm going to tell them that that product is trash, and I am going to be your worst nightmare. And so he said these words to me, and I'll never forget it. What are you going to do if it works? I had not considered that possibility as a real possibility.
So let me, you're going to continue on, but would you say for yourself in that same thought, if I were to ask you this, what would you, or what advice would you have to any listeners that are skeptical of trying or using the Feel Great system? Would you now look at them and say the exact same thing?
I would say to them, my biggest fault or problem when it comes to doing this system is I waited 8 months.
Yeah.
I waited 8 months. And here's the thing.
Yeah. Man,
here's the thing. The best thing I can say is simply this. If you took your if you had some kind of guarantee that your medications in the next 90 days were going to work to lower your numbers, make you feel better, and get you proper nutrition, and give you more energy, fix your gut issues, improve your mood, improve your immunity, increase the good bacteria and microbiome to get rid of all of your cravings, help you lose weight without exercise, help you become fat adapted to where now you're burning fat for fuel, even in between meals. If you were going to take a drug for 90 days and it was going to do all that, and if it didn't do that, you get your money back, would you take it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you sure would.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure would.
100%.
And so what I say is, okay, these do not interfere with your meds. They don't interact with your meds at all because they are food-based. So guess what? Put this into your system. Do it like you're supposed to with a coach for 90 days who can help you when life happens, because there's going to be times where maybe you're going on an all-inclusive cruise and you want to do adult beverages and you're like, whoa, how do I stay on the system while I'm, doing adult beverages, or I'm eating at buffets or whatever. That's why the system is great, but having a coach with the system, that's why it's a system. It will help you go from where you are right now metabolically to where you need to be. And so again, I've got so many people that ask me this question. Well, what happens when I'm healthy again? Am I stuck on it for life? And I say these words. Listen, if you know how to maintain good health when you get it, no, use this to go from where you are to where you want to be. And once you get to where you want to be, if you're like, hey, I'm good, I'm done, say la vie. See you later. Now,
so
yes.
Quickly thinking about that, what does I want to talk about you and your daily routine. What does, for the listener, or people viewing currently, what does a daily routine look like for you? Like, you woke up today, you wake up tomorrow, like what does a full day for Keith Rowe look like, just from the start to the finish, for anybody that's unsure of what you're talking about when you talk about the quote unquote protocol?
Sure. So I wake up every morning. I take my Unimate. Now, I live in the Midwest, and I started this when it was in December. So it was cold here, and I was a big coffee drinker. So the best thing about Unimate is you can take it hot or cold. Yeah. I've always taken it hot. So I take my Browns mug. Go Browns.
Oh, man, hold up. Oh, whoa. Guys, stop there. Man.
Come on.
He's one of those Steelers guys.
I'm a Steelers fan, but I'm firing from the hip.
Well, hey, you got an Ohio State alum as the quarterback now, so that's good. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
True. But I wanted to know your true feelings on drafting Shedeur Sanders. Good or bad? Is this Johnny Manziel 2.0 or
no? Because Johnny Manziel was a first round pick. Shedeur Sanders, this flyer on Shedeur Sanders is just that.
I feel like I feel like the you can call it pride or very, very, very high confidence in themselves. I feel like they have an ego coming in. So I'm just wondering if that was the same. That's why I'm calling it Johnny Manziel 2.0. You know, they both are.
Well, so here's what I have to say about this. The beauty of this is that he'll have the ability to either prove himself that all of the other teams, even Cleveland, have passed them up in the first 4 rounds, that they all made a mistake and that he was the real deal, and he'll be a great quarterback for 10 years in Cleveland, which, hey, if that happens, that is a great problem to have if you're a Cleveland Browns fan like myself.
But it's a quarterback graveyard.
Yes, this is well, it's been so since 1999 we have started 40 starting quarterbacks. And so when people looked at me and they're like, "Why did the Browns take 2?" I'm like, "Listen, bro, have you been aware since 1999? If we got to take if all of our draft picks are quarterbacks to ensure that we get 1, that's good. I'll take it." But
listen,
anyway.
I did not want to get off on sports talk.
No, it's okay. Sorry. Well,
hot or cold.
I wasn't going to show the Browns fan thing, but here's the thing with me, man. That's how you know I'm super skeptical. I've had my heart broken so many times. So many times with my team. I still love them. Doesn't matter. So anyway, I wake up in the morning. I take my Browns mug. I put some hot water in it, and I have my Unimate. That's how I start my day. I sip it down anywhere between 20 minutes to half an hour, something like that. It gives me the energy I need, gives me an uplift in my mood. It increases my body's ability to make natural GLP-1. So glucagon-like peptide 1, that is something that is naturally occurring in the body. And in the presence of GLP-1, that's when our body says, great, cool, we do not need to eat. We're turning hunger off completely. Well, and so semaglutide, or the medications that are out there, like Ozempic and Wegovy and all those other ones, those mimic those effects of GLP-1, but they're not natural. It's not your body's not natural GLP-1. So that's why this is so important, because this helps your body make 60% more natural GLP-1. So with 60% more natural GLP-1 on board, it's easy to go 4 to 6 hours without eating. And there is no food noise. You literally have turned ghrelin off. So ghrelin's a hormone, basically comes from the stomach and goes to the brain and goes, hey, we're hungry. Come on, let's eat. And this goes, yeah, wait a minute. No, we don't have to eat. We're good. And to me, I call this my willpower to pack it. So I take that in the morning. At lunchtime, I always have my carbs. If I'm going to have carbs throughout the day, either lunch or dinner, I always try to have my carbs at lunch. And the reason for that is we have a circadian rhythm, and our circadian rhythm and our metabolism is spinning a whole lot faster between 12 and 2 than it is like 6 to 8. So when you're thinking about eating dinner, or maybe 5 to 7 if you eat dinner between 5 and 7. So when you are going to be eating dinner, if you throw a bunch of carbs in at dinner and then you sleep an hour, hour and a half later, your body is trying to catch up and process that throughout your sleep. So you're not really getting into autophagy. Autophagy is basically your body's ability to start cleaning up and getting rid of old stuff and regenerating new cells. Well, that's what's going to drive your change with the system.
That was a big thing I learned when I first got on this about autophagy. That was very eye-opening, I guess, for me.
Yes. And isn't it amazing, right, that something already within us can heal us? Right? All the body has been waiting for this whole time is for us to start doing the right thing.
So do you drink your fiber before both meals? Just curious. Have you always done that?
No,
or you just do one meal?
I'm on the newer system that came out last April, which was Unimate in the morning. Yummy, yummy. I have my balance before my lunch because I have my carbohydrates or my biggest meal at lunch, because I know that's when my metabolism is going at its highest. And then at night, I usually have a protein and a vegetable. Usually it's a cruciferous vegetable. So it's either broccoli or cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, all of those kind of things. And so usually before, but sometimes I'll have an early dinner. So if I have an early dinner, I'll do the Unimate an hour after dinner. If I'm going to have a late dinner, I usually do the Unimate an hour before dinner. The nice thing is these are portable. I can take them anywhere. If we're going to a restaurant, you know, the age old secret, right?
And you have a bottle.
No, what I do is I bring my Walmart bottle of water into the restaurant with me, drink about half of it down. I put this. I do this, right?
Right.
Yeah, loud and proud.
Single person in the restaurant goes. Right?
Yeah, looks at you.
And I open that up and I pour it in and I shake it up and I chug it down and I go, because I know they're all watching. And so what happens almost always? Excuse me. What was that? What are you doing over there? And I say, well, I used to be a diabetic. Now I'm a diabetic in remission. And so if I take this fiber matrix, I mean, I can eat this delicious Mexican food here and not actually have to worry about my insulin and my sugar spiking. So that's why I take this. Oh,
okay,
really?
So
where do I get that?
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you.
So you've already sort of cracked the door for them as far as being able to tell your story, which is great because I know we mentioned this. I want everybody else to hear this. I've got one more particular question, and we've actually added something new to this. I'll talk about it here in just a second. But Roark has a segment now. We're adding. We're gonna. Oh, look at that! Add to the show tonight. I will let you know. But Keith, when you bring this up and ask where do I get this, blah blah blah, what do you tell the people? And we already talked about skeptical, but then you got the people that's like, oh my gosh, $169.14 a month. Like, no, I can't do that. So what do you have to tell those people who may be watching again, listening, may watch us back, when they think that that's pricey, what's your.
And I go, I know exactly how you feel. You know, when your mindset is not changing and doing something that this would be adding an expense, then yes, that's really scary. And that's part of the reason why I waited as long as I did. However, what you're not realizing, and you really don't realize this until you start doing it. So there is no snacking anymore. So all the money that you would spend on snack food, well, you're not spending that money anymore.
Gone.
Then when you start thinking about breakfast, all right, come on, fellas. Eggs.
Yeah.
Holy cow, $9 a dozen.
They're up there.
I mean, this is like
Which
Willy Wonka.
Roark never. Roark.
Yeah, like the chickens are making golden eggs now. Like, holy cow. So
Every one of them.
Yeah. So, when you start looking at what does breakfast cost you? So I look at it like this. Does breakfast cost you $5.60 a day? Yep. Yeah. It does.
That's actually just the sandwich. That's not the hash browns and the orange.
Right, never mind. So this is what happened with me. I used to do the checkbook, and I was somebody that was doing it was $6.92 every single day. It's probably more now. But it was 2 sausage, egg, and cheese McMuffins, 2 hash browns, and a large coffee, $6.92. I only know that because I was putting it every single day, Monday all the way through Sunday, as entries in my checkbook. And so that was one of the reasons that I was like, well, can I afford to do that? And then I was, wait a minute. Well, if I don't go to McDonald's for breakfast, all right, well, this stuff better work because I really love McDonald's breakfast. So I'll sacrifice for 90 days. And if my numbers don't change, I'm going right back to my McDonald's
breakfast.
Back.
Yeah.
Well,
right back.
I haven't had a McDonald's breakfast in over 3.5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other thing with this is I told the gentleman at my 30th day, hey, listen, my mission has always been to help people. And this stuff works. I don't know what's in it. Obviously, I'm going to have to do some homework about that. But I don't know if anybody would even listen to me. Scottish, Irish, balding, hillbilly. Who's going to listen to me? I don't know. I don't know if I'm anybody's flavor. But you know what? I do see myself out there everywhere I go. Church, Walmart,
Oh,
walking the state
absolutely.
fair. Like, I see people that look just like I used to look all the time, and I think that's somebody I can help. And so he looked at me and basically was like, well, there's a way you can get involved and you can start helping people and tell your story. And so that's how I got into this part. Now, getting back to the wife, I hadn't told her I bought the product, number one. I hadn't told her that I bought into the business, number two. And so she found all that out when I made my first video. And I made my first video at day 34. Yes, sir. So day 34, this is exactly how that went.
That's how you got good at deals.
Oh yeah, she came walking through the door and she's like, so what's the system? And she had her phone out like this. And I'm like, what are you talking about, babe?
Yeah.
System. What system?
McDonald's.
She's like, really? We're going to go there?
Oh, Rachel
She goes,
killed me.
you're a TikTok legend? I was like, oh, you saw that? I had no idea that TikTok would send it to her and not send it to out of all the the 4 people that watched that video, she was one of them. So I had no idea. So I had to tell her the truth. So I said, well, you need to sit down. She's like, what did you do? I said, well, the system is that stuff. I started that stuff. You asked me about a week ago if I'd lost weight, and I lied. She's like, oh, you have lost weight. I said, I lost, at that point, it was like 34 pounds. I said, yeah, I'm down like 34 pounds. And she's like, well, wait a minute. Well, how are your sugars? I know you don't care about your weight. None of the guys even care how much they weigh. I said, you're right. I don't. But my sugars are great, actually. I'm off metformin. My sugars are down 100 plus points on average. And it's just getting better. Every single day it's getting better. So she was relieved. So she was happy. Like, she was like, oh, well, you know what, honey? Okay, so you kind of lied to me, but it's working. You know, I'm really skeptical of new things. Oh, so, okay. Like, I give you a pass. I'm like, oh, great, babe. Now, no, stay seated. I got to tell you something else. She's like, what? Does it relate to the system? I said, yep. I said, I bought into the business part of it. Oh, my goodness. Where did you get the money for that? I said, well, I got a 0 interest credit card. What? I said, I went out, I got a 0 interest credit card, and wait, before you kill me, all of the boxes that came in the mail, well, I didn't see anything. I said, no, I found them before you. I got a hold of that guy. You could ever see
You're thinking worse.
I said, so here's what happened. No, she was real mad. Like, she was red hot cherry mad. And that turned into not so mad and then not mad at all. I said, listen, there's some people in the community, that they're hurting. They're struggling with this. She's like, yeah. I said, well, I've helped those people. She's like, what do you mean? I said, well, when you buy in, you get 10 months worth. And I went to 4 houses and I come home and I don't have any boxes and I have the money that I needed. I already paid the card off. I never got to do that again. So now, starting from right now, going forward, I'll never fib. I'll never lie. Nothing about anything in the business. You can ask me anything you want. I said, but I didn't think that you would be on board. And I thought that you would be just as skeptical, and I didn't want to cause any kind of heartaches or problems or anything like that. But I knew what I was looking at was real. I knew that my results were real, and I knew I could help other people with this. And so now, when we go on the nicer vacation than we could have ever gone before, she got no problem with that.
I gotta ask Keith before we get into the ROARC roundup to close out the show tonight. How many people have you helped with type 2, or how many people have you helped with the system so far?
So in my 3.5+ years of doing this, I've helped 1,700 people go from being type 2 diabetics on multiple medications to being off medications and in diabetic remission.
1,700 people. ROARC. 1,700, dude. Like,
And
That's a
here's the thing,
mind-boggling.
gentlemen. That's just a scratch of the surface here. There's so many people that need this. There's so many people that need this, and it's my responsibility for the rest of my life to help as many of those people as I possibly can. That's it.
Listen,
when you know
that's awesome.
when you finally realize what your purpose is, like there was a reason this fell into my lap, right?
Absolutely. And I'm gonna put it on the screen here. Again, your pictures are unbelievable, but again, you dropping your A1C like 11.8 to 5.4, remarkable in 10 months. And again, your story, it speaks volumes. Leads me into Mr. Roark's time to shine. We're calling it the Roark Roundup. His job was to get you 2 questions to close out the show this week. So, Roark, the stage is yours. What 2 questions? Matter of fact, I think they come from a diabetic as well, correct?
It does. Coming in from Panama City, Florida, from my dad. He wanted to know that when you first started the system, what did a day of food look like? What did you eat when you started the system as a diabetic on Mounjaro? What did you eat?
So when I first started the system, the gentleman that I had watched said, "Don't change your diet."
Wow.
I said, "What?" That was another thing that I was like, man, this guy don't know me. I can eat a 42-inch pizza and down it with 2 liters of Pepsi-Cola. So I wanted to give this as best of a chance of working because I didn't want him to come back to me and say I did anything wrong. So what I was doing at that point, I was working at night doing ambulance duties. And so there was nothing open. The only thing open at nighttime anywhere near me was the truck stop. So I would be getting beef jerky and eggs, and if they had fresh fruit, so if they had berries, some kind of berries, I would get berries. Matter of fact, if he goes to my TikTok, he can actually look at day 35 all the way to day 365 because I chronicled and did a blog style. And I've never erased any of those videos. And I do it because, number one, I always want to remember where I came from. And number two, I want people to look at me now and before they judge me, because everybody wants to judge you when you've already accomplished something. I say, no, go back. Go back and take a look at what that guy looked like.
Yeah.
And that was me, but it's not me anymore. And so when I say I look just like you, you can go back and see I look just like you. And that's the biggest thing for me, because once your mind starts to believe, hey, wait a minute, this is not hard. I can take this drink in the morning. I can either, I can take the balance before my meal at lunchtime. That's not a big deal. All you need is a bottle of water. If you have a bottle of water and you have 3 packets on you, you're good for the whole day.
You're golden.
All right, that's awesome.
What was your second question you were going to close us out with tonight?
Second question, and I actually changed this question during the show because it popped up in the comments. On your first 30 days, did you fast? Did you keep your fast to 16 hours? Did you? Because I ended up stretching to 24. Did you stay at 16? Did you go to 24? Did you do 10? What was your fasting like?
So my first 30 days, I did 16.8. Then my next 30 days, I did 18.6. And then my next 30 days after that, I did 24. And then now I rotate. The other important thing, because when the doctor, if you remember earlier when we were talking, the doctor said, anything you do, there's a honeymoon period. Fasting is no different. If you always keep the body guessing, it then has to adapt. If you get stuck in a 16.8, which is fine to be in that situation, but if you're doing 16.8 and you're doing it for a really long time, the body gets used to it. And once the body adapts and gets used to it, then you may see your numbers plateau. And you're like, no, I want them to keep going down, or I want my body to change more, or I want my weight to go down more. Well, switch it up.
So Keith, I'm gonna add, because we got a comment here. She says to expand on rotating. This is what I'm assuming. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like this week will be 16-8. Next week, 24. Like you just mix up week to week on which fasting you're going to do.
And do it progressively. So in a 3-week stint. So this week 16-8. So my first 90 days I did nothing but 16-8, and then I did a month of 18-6, and then I did a month of 24, and now I do it week to week. So I do 16-8, then I do 18-6, then I do 24. I also like to do once a quarter a 72-hour fast, and I usually have that on the day that I'm going to do a 24. I'll just extend the fast and do 72.
When you say once a quarter, you mean in a quarter being in the month. So once a month.
Once every 3 months.
Okay, quarter in the year. Okay.
Yeah, if you do once every 3 months and you extend that fast, again, the longer that you're in autophagy, the more stem cells and human growth hormone that you're going to be producing, the more primordial waste out of the cells, the more new cells are going to be created. Your HGH goes up. All of these good things happen in autophagy. I would never go, this is just me, I would never go past 72 hours. I think 72 hours is just, it's a perfect wheelhouse for me. But I usually do that once a quarter.
No, you do your teas. You do your teas while you're doing that.
Absolutely. I'll also, if I'm hungry, if I actually feel hungry, because sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. If I feel hungry, I'll do a balance by itself.
Okay. Man, that was all great stuff. What a show tonight. Listen, I like how you come at it from such a different angle. I mean, I'm a math teacher, basketball coach, but I really like that you come at it more from a science side, a ER nurse side, just some of your terminology. I'm gonna have to watch back and search up what some of those words are. No, I'm kidding. But the whole reason we're doing this, and before I let you go, Keith, and obviously thank you for your time. Unicity has actually got a trial that they're looking for members actually, and they have things that's offered to them, all new members. It's something that I can't jump in on, but any new member that signs up through this month, they're set for $150 credit in product. They also get 2 complimentary diabetic risk test kits that's purchased for them at $45 value. The way they get their product credit is after day 20, they get $25. After day 50, $25, and day 90, $100. Correct me if I'm wrong, Keith. Basically, all they have to do, sign up as a new member, sign up that they want to be part of the trial, and turn in their A1C test. Mm-hmm. And submit their blood and be a part of the study. So do you have any words for anybody that may be on the fence of trying this?
Well, the only other thing that is part of the study is Unicity has a fasting app. And so what they require as you're doing this, because it is a scientific study, they want to be able to track how long you fasted for, when you took your balance, when you took your Unimate, when you had your meal. And so in order to stay in the study, you have to track those things in that app. Okay.
So, Robert, do you have anything? Go ahead, Keith.
Yeah, the company's never offered something like this before. So you're talking. So if the skeptical person in me, if this would have been offered before, this got rid. Not only did it get rid of all my no's, but now it's giving me a reason to do it. Because now instead of running to the doctor, I can get an A1C check before I start. Yay! I can get an A1C check at the end of 90 days. I'm getting an app that I can keep track of what's going on every single day. And in the end, I'm going to get money off. So it's like, and if it doesn't do
90 days,
what
90 days, money back.
And and if it doesn't do what I wanted it to do, and my numbers aren't changed at all, well, then I still, congratulations, still have all the problems I had before. And I haven't spent a dime.
Money back. Absolutely.
And so
that's why I think it's remarkable.
Yeah.
Have you noticed, Isaac? We've had 2 episodes. Both episodes we've had, somebody said, both of them said, well, "What if it works?" Both of them.
The exact words.
The exact words.
I mean, what if it worked? Because I think we, as human beings, we naturally revert to the negative thought, or that's not going to work. Well, I don't think we ever think about again, what if it does work? I mean, now I'm not dealing with these problems. And so that, I think that's pretty powerful. And that is great that both people said that. Keith, do you have any final thoughts for our people listening tonight?
If there was any doubt in your mind about this prior to coming to this tonight, I'm really hoping that through the conversation tonight, you're learning a lot more about it. And no matter who it is that you go with to do this, you will be coached. You will know more about what's going on inside the body, maybe even more than you care to. And knowledge is power. If you know what's going on inside the body, and you are now helping the body do the things that it wants to do, not forcing it to do something it doesn't want to do, it's only natural that the results you're looking for start to appear.
Awesome.
Keith, man, I wanna thank you so much for coming on. I know this
Thank you,
hour and
guys.
15 now, hour and 15 minutes you'll never get back, but like you said, you've
No,
helped
it's great.
1,700 people. We have, just talking about communities. I mean, that you're talking about, I know people in our community, not only just close to, but people that we know that deal with, that struggle with this. And we do know that it helps them. And I just hope that with this, we're able to touch somebody with this. So, Robert, do you have any closing comments for Keith before we let him go?
No, Keith, when my mom and dad get back from Florida and I get dad on this, I may be hitting you up for some questions because
100%.
we're going at this.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, call me.
Yeah.
Call me. Let me know
Absolutely.
anytime. That this is, guys. This is in my wheelhouse. This is what I get excited for. It's what I wake up every morning and I say, okay, whose life am I changing today?
Awesome. Well, Keith, we want to thank you, man. As you said, the system
Thank you,
just
guys.
works. I'm living proof. And like I said, you're always welcome back on the show. And if you know of anybody that may want to jump on and be a part of this, we would love to look into having them. So,
Great.
Keith, we thank you. And you have a great night. And, man, keep on changing lives.
Thanks, guys.
See you, man.
See, man.
What do you think about that, Coach?
Listen, I was sitting here. We just had a comment, 1% mission. I was thinking, with him,
Yeah,
it's
right
17.
here.
It's 1,700 plus in, and really what we're doing from two math teachers. People are going to think we're being nerds saying this, but we're an N+1. We're an N+1 system. We want to take the next person and help one more.
Yeah, and as he also said, we haven't even scratched the surface. I mean, he 1,700 is a huge number, and he's like, that ain't even touching it. It ain't even putting a dent. It kind of sounds like our national debt. Can't put a dent into it. But
yeah,
if you are listening, or maybe still with us again, if you are ready to say yes, we would love to absolutely help you. Again, Keith was a great resource tonight, and he will always remain a resource. Like Keith said earlier, no matter who you go with, we have a huge team. It doesn't really matter. I mean, we're all kind of in this together, and we all are looking at helping you and your goals. So you can take a screenshot of your screen at the moment. Again, you can click and hold on the QR codes of either myself, Andrew, or again, if you don't like us to, okay, direct message me and I'll send you somebody. I'll send you somebody like, I mean, I genuinely don't care. Like I said, I'm not becoming a millionaire with this. I know that it works. It's helped my mom. It's helped my dad. It's helped my assistant coach. It's helped my assistant coach's husband. Like, I could go on and on about people that it's helped. And I genuinely just want people to be helped with their problems as well. I think this is an opportunity. Again, going back to what if it does work, I don't really think you have anything to lose with the money back guarantee. And that's why this podcast started. Genuinely, I don't care if you ever buy a single thing from me. May sound crazy, but if you're dealing with problems, I believe in this product. I believe in this protocol. I believe fasting is the key. And I think the products, but I know that the products help make that a whole heck of a lot easier. So again, that's why myself and Coach Rowe are here. And Coach, do you have any final words for us?
No, just if you're out there and you're on the fence, reach out to us. We'll find some way to help you. That's our goal, is to go out there and change somebody else's life and somebody else's experience. This has done that for me. I feel like I'm in control of my health for the first time in a long time. So let's go. Let's do this.
Well, we're going to wrap up episode 2 here. And again, looking forward to episode 3. I will go ahead and let the cat out of the bag. Episode 3 will be a female. That I know that Marcus asked us in episode 1. He asked me what our plans or goal was with this was.
Yeah.
I would like to host one male, and I'd like to host one female per month right now. We did move. We moved Keith up a little bit because of his story.
Yeah.
And knowing that there may be somebody out there that might want to jump into this study here at the end of April, that would be awesome. But I am looking into May. The very next contestant on Spilling the Tea will be a female. So,
and listen, with the baby coming, being new, being a little girl, it's about time to have a lady on.
That's right. So looking forward to hearing it from a female's perspective. Until next time, be looking for any of the information about when the next show will be. And let's just keep trying to get one more, N+1.
That's right. You like that, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Coach, you have a great night, man, and have a great week.
Trigger warning, watching this video could save your life. This goes out to all the type 2 diabetics out there, or all the people with insulin resistance that are taking the drug metformin. There's probably a bunch of you out there who have never seen me before on TikTok, you've never watched any of my content, and you have no idea who I am. Well, my name is Keith, and let me tell you my story. Back in 2018, I was diagnosed at one doctor's visit with type 2 diabetes, hypertension, fatty liver, and high cholesterol, and I had no idea what was actually happening with me. You see, the blame by my doctor was actually placed on me. Plus, he also knew that I had a background in medicine, being a combat medic and then being a paramedic in the fire department and then becoming an ER nurse. So he knew I knew all the signs and symptoms of type 2 diabetes, yet I was always caring for others, so I didn't really care so much about myself. But I have to tell you, my life completely changed that day. Because that day, I decided, okay, I'm going to do everything the doctor says. Well, fast forward 4.5 years later, maxed out on metformin and all kinds of other medications, and I heard these words. You know what? Your A1C is still bad. I'm going to have to put you on insulin. I thought, what am I going to do? I'm not going to defy the doctor, but then again, I also knew that my problem was caused by insulin resistance, so the cells of my body were already resistant to the max amount of insulin my body could make. So how could giving me more insulin make any sense at all? I decided that was it. What I was going to do is I was going to find a way to improve insulin sensitivity and reduce insulin resistance. Now, that proved really daunting. I looked everywhere for different recipes, for all kinds of potions and pills and powders and all kinds of stuff. And you know what? I didn't have any sustained results until I found a natural system and an age-old practice. Putting those two together changed my life. The practice is intermittent fasting or time-based eating, however you want to look at it. Basically just skipping one meal a day. Well, I started that first. And about 6 weeks in, I wasn't the same person. I was hangry all the time, and I really was looking for help. I actually came right here on TikTok, saw someone advertise 2 products that made up a system coupled with the intermittent fasting that was guaranteed to work or my money back in 90 days. I started it, and my A1C at the 10-month mark of being on that system went from 11.8 all the way down to 5.4. I lost 70 pounds in that time without any kind of exercise. My blood pressure returned to normal. My triglycerides were completely normal. Did you catch what I said? I said I was diabetic. No longer now. And you know what? It saved my life. I give all kinds of coaching. I give out all of my information so that you have constant contact with me. I will absolutely walk you through the process every single day if I have to, because at the end of the day, it's my belief no one should have to die from complications of diabetes, and no one need to have to treat type 2 diabetes for a lifetime. See you, peeps.
I had that same thing going on. Like, I used to wake up to 300 all the time. Now I wake up to this.